Welcome everyone to my review of Archie Sonic the Hedgehog issue 18. In another case of the cover accurately representing the story, it appears that Sonic and Sally are getting married and Robotnik is trying to stop them. As I mentioned in the previous issue, the last time the subject of Sonic and Sally getting married was touched upon 2 issues earlier, when the Freedom Fighters were trapped in VR World. That story was written by Mike K. Penders, as is this one. Recycling ideas, aren't we? Well, let's see how differently they do the Sonic and Sally wedding compared to issue 16's. Our gang is in an old barn outside of Knothole, the location being perfect for Sonic and Sally's wedding. While the guys are straying up the place, and Antoine getting into goofy hijinks as always, Sally, in her wedding dress, admits to Bunny that she's getting cold feet about this whole thing. Still, she's willing to go through with this tomorrow. Hidden nearby, a Motobug heard the entire conversation and speeds off towards Robotropolis to tell Robotnik the news through crab meat. Robotnik thinks Motobug is pulling his chain as always, but crab meat confirms Sonic and Sally's wedding via the Robotropolis Times. Robotnik is not completely convinced, so he sends Batbrain to the barn for further confirmation. At the barn, Sonic wants to make sure Sally's all for doing this tomorrow, since he too has developed a case of cold feet. Ultimately, like Sally, he is committed to going through with this. They spot Batbrain nearby, but fail to stop the Batnik from escaping and reporting all of this to Robotnik. Later, Robotnik gathers his army to inform them about Sonic and Sally's wedding and the plan to stop it at all costs. He dubs the attack Operation Wedding Bash Crash. After giving a rousing speech, he orders his forces to march towards the barn. Meanwhile, the wedding ceremony is well underway. The priest reaches the point where if anyone objects to their union, please speak now or forever hold your peace. Cue Robotnik's army. They show Sonic they mean business when it comes to stopping the wedding. While the Hedgehog is thinning out their numbers, he's worried that innocent bystanders will get hurt. Because they are the targets, he and Sally try to flee the barn. Too bad Robotnik planned for this. He has a second battalion, led by Snively, force the two back into the barn. Afterwards, I guess Sonic is no longer concerned about the bystanders getting hurt, because he resumes attacking the robots by swinging on a rope and disarming a SWAT bot while taking out an entire squad of them. Then he uses the arm to take out a bunch of nearby badniks. Robotnik enters the barn to find Sonic alone on the altar. Sally is up above, and she cuts the rope to bring the curtain down on Robotnik. The nearby people stand and applaud, confusing Robotnik. Sonic then reveals to Robotnik and us that the wedding was actually a stage play. The Doc pretty much wasted a ton of his forces for nothing. I guess the heroes just let the humiliated Robotnik return to his city, because the next day, we see them cleaning up the mess. Well, most of them. Antoine is reading the rave reviews of the play. Sally comments that the barn could also be used to house a real wedding if she and Sonic were to marry for real someday. Sonic quickly zooms off, telling us that he's not quite ready to be tied down. The issue's backup story is a continuation of the one from issue 17. Like I said last time, this will lead into the 48-page special, Sonic in Your Face. As such, everything I said about the writers and the tonal shift in issue 17 apply here as well. But I will add that the tonal shift in this backup story is a doozy compared to the earlier stuff. You'll see when I cover the whole story in the In Your Face review. Okay, I admit, having the wedding actually be a play is a clever twist. If you go back and reread the story, there are actually some hints that set up the reveal. Examples include Bunny mentioning the production, the background heavily resembling a theater, and Sonic and Sally using what's obviously the backstage to stop Robotnik and his robots. You can even recontextualize Sonic and Sally's conversations to having a case of stage fright rather than pre-wedding jitters. Though I do wonder why they chose to hold a play in an old barn outside of the hidden village of Knothole. Wouldn't it be better to do it in a place of safety? Besides the usual, we wouldn't have a plot excuse, I think the Freedom Fighters like the barn aesthetic. At the very least, It's not another case of Mike K and Penders making the heroes look like gullible fools by luring them into obvious traps using free goodies as bait. Robotnik is at his pettiness here, wasting a good portion of his forces to stop what he thinks is a wedding. Then again, we are still in the Goofy era, but that will slowly be changing as we continue through this series. Surprisingly, this is consistent with Goofy Robotnik's insistence of his no fun rules established in issue 3. Sonic even mentioned them and stated that plays weren't part of that list. Given that Robotnik's rules was created by a different writer, I'm surprised Mike K and or Penders used it in their story. I'm giving this story a 5, another average outing. It would have been lower if not for the play twist and a surprise bit of callback. There's also this interesting bit here where the Batniks are posing like they're Power Rangers or something. It loses me on things like the attack itself. I seriously doubt that no one got hurt. Those robots were out for blood. And where were the other freedom fighters during the attack? Other than Antoine, we don't see the likes of Bunny, Rotor, and Tails helping out. I know in the end it's for the sake of the play twist, but lives were at stake. Maybe they fought the robots off screen. Yeah, that's my headcanon. There's also the inconsistency with Sally's normal attire. She has her blue vest at one point in the story, then later on she doesn't. If issue 57's flashbacks are accurate, then we got a slight continuity hiccup because Sally won't get her vest until the Sonic in Your Face special. Although, you could place issue 18's main story after those events, because after Sally gets her vest, there will be a few stories where she doesn't wear it. I'm aware that I shouldn't be making a big deal out of this, but the comic series is reaching a point where, along with the tonal shifts, there will be more continuity nods and callbacks on a roughly regular basis. Ultimately though, I chalk this up to Dave Manik screwing up the art. One more thing to talk about is the usage of pop culture references. Of all the things the writer chose, why Patton? A Batman nod seen here is understandable given the medium and how well known the character is. But Patton? I don't think the younger readers at the time would understand the nod to that film. Speaking of pop culture nods, the next issue will be full of them courtesy of alternate reality versions of Sonic the Hedgehog. So join me next time for the Night of 1000 Sonics. Rotor once again has fallen asleep standing up, even while working this time. Someone should get this guy some help.